Well, I first met Jo in Darfur in 2006, where she was doing what she was brilliant at, which was looking after and saving the lives of vulnerable refugees. And here we are today, commemorating her life that's been lost. And of course, the most profound thing that's happened is that 2 children have lost their mother, a husband has lost a loving wife, and of course, Parliament has lost one of its most passionate and brilliant campaigners, someone who epitomised the fact that politics is about serving others. Today, our nation is rightly shocked, and I think it is a moment to stand back and think about some of the things that are so important about our country. The fact that we should treasure and value our democracy, where members of Parliament are out in the public, accountable to the public, available to the public. And that's how Jo died. She died doing her job. I think the second thing is that we should recognise that politics is about public service. People who go into public life, they want to act in the national interest, to pursue the national interest, to do things for other people, to make the country, make the world a better place. Politicians disagree with each other. We often disregard what politicians say, and we disregard each other and the rest of it. But at the end of the day, that's what it is about, and that is what Jo showed it is all about. But perhaps most important of all, we should value and see as precious the democracy that we have on these islands, where 65 million of us live together and work together and get on together. We do have peace, we do have stability, we do have a measure of economic well-being better than other countries, obviously still to be spread far more widely. And it's all underpinned by tolerance. So where we see hatred, where we find division, where we see intolerance, we must drive it out of our politics and out of our public life and out of our communities. And if we truly want to honour Jo, then what we should do is recognise that her values, service, community, tolerance, the values she lived by and worked by, those are the values that we need to redouble in our national life in the months and in the years to come.
Mr. Corbyn, yourself and other senior politicians granted a level of security beyond that of the rank and file, the backbenchers. Of those hundreds of MPs, what concerns does this raise for their safety as they go about their parliamentary business and their day-to-day lives?
We need our whole society to be secure. Jo was brutally murdered here 24 hours ago in this town, a town she loved, a town she grew up in, serving a community she loved. And in her life, she'd worked for anti-slavery campaigns, she'd worked for Oxfam, she was a campaigner for human rights and justice all around the world. She was taken from us in an act of hatred, in a vile act that has killed her. It's an attack on democracy, what happened yesterday. It's the well of hatred that killed her. She leaves behind a husband who made a truly wonderful statement yesterday, a statement saying that in her memory we would try to conquer hatred with love and with respect. She also leaves behind 2 young children who will never see their mother again. They will only be able to grow up knowing what she was, what she stood for, and what she achieved. I've asked the Prime Minister and the Speaker for the recall of Parliament on Monday, and they've accepted that request, and Parliament will be recalled on Monday so that we can pay due tribute to her on behalf of everybody in this country who values democracy, values the right of free speech, and values the right of political expression free from the kind of brutality that Jo suffered. That's why we all need to come together to understand that everyone must have protection and security in order to function in a democratic society. Jo was an exceptional, wonderful, very talented woman, taken from us in her early 40s when she had so much to give and so much of her life ahead of her. It's a tragedy beyond tragedy what has happened yesterday. In her memory, we will not allow those people that spread hatred and poison to divide our society. We will strengthen our democracy, strengthen our free speech. She was a truly wonderful woman. I'm deeply sorry, deeply sad of what has happened to her. and my condolences to all the people of Batley and Spen, who she represented so well, and of course to a wonderful family, her husband, her children, and all of her wider family.
And Mr. Burcoaches, did the events of yesterday cause you and parliamentarians to look at politics differently? Do the squabbles and the political rivalries of the past now seem that more trivial?
Today, I think everybody is united in grief, in horror, and in an overpowering respect for somebody who we came to know, whose talents we admired, whose passion we observed on a daily basis. There are legitimate differences, as the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition have said, and those differences on matters of policy will always be there, and that's part of the democratic dialogue. But we are able to come together and to say two things. First of all, as everybody here knows, Joe Cox was a quite outstanding Member of Parliament who in 13 months representing her constituency made an extraordinary impression on her colleagues, on the media, and I'm quite certain on her constituents. As has already been said, she had a huge amount more to give, and she was inspired by a moral passion and a fixity of purpose and a deep-rooted conviction which she shared with Brendan, and of which Brendan and her children and her colleagues and her constituency can be incredibly proud. And secondly, it was a despicable and appalling act which has shocked not merely people in Batley and Spen, but right across the country, and I suspect many millions of people around the world. Evil cannot be allowed and will not be allowed to triumph over good. And we just have to underline our determination as politicians across the spectrum that free speech and the right of people to go about their business and the pursuit of principle will continue, and it will not be dulled or dimmed or cowed in any way by people who think that violence and the spirit of hatred can be allowed to triumph. That has not happened, as I think we are demonstrating today, and it will not happen. Not now, and not at any time. Everybody here must be incredibly proud of Jo Cox. From my vantage point, I got to see her, I got to hear her, I knew of her passion, I knew of her commitment, I knew of her ability, and I knew of her quite extraordinary hard work. Everyone here today knows that, and we've come together in grief, in admiration, and in respect.
Thank you very much.